Today we will be learning something very important, that is the spreadsheet. Let me first explain to you that what a spreadsheet is. So the spreadsheet is a type of document that we make. So you can go and to the start menu and you can type in Libre Calc or OpenOffice Calc. So Calc would definitely show you a calculator in Windows, but we are not interested in that. So you are either going to LibreOffice Calc or OpenOffice Calc. So this time I'm using LibreOffice Calc. So I'm going to click LibreOffice Calc. So it will start this software, this app you can say. And first of all, the we are going to follow the best practices. So the best practice for this thing is that you right away go on and save this document, save as or save in some of the folders on your desktop or in documents. So use your roll number. So now the document is saved, and this thing is called a spreadsheet. And so these are called this is called a spreadsheet. So here you can see at the bottom of this screen that there is name of that sheet written over here, and name of the sheet is something that you can change. So for example, if I double click this, I can see that I have a dialog box where I can change the name of this sheet. So for example, I'm going to make a worksheet for my expenses. So I will type in expenses, and similarly, I can add a new spreadsheet to my document, to the same document, and the document name is written over here 12345.ods, and ODS stands for Open Document Spreadsheet. Um, so you can add a new spreadsheet to this document just by pressing this plus button, and here you can see the new sheet appearing, and sheet name is by default sheet. So if you double click this spreadsheet, you can change the name of this spreadsheet. I can change the name of this spreadsheet to, let's say, uh, uh, earnings. Let's say, for example, I have different businesses, different sources of earnings, so I can type in earnings. So now if I let me show you, for example, uh, if I type something on the earnings sheet like this, and I go to the expenses sheet and I type in something, and I switch between the sheets, you can see that earnings sheet, whatever I typed in that is there, and whatever I typed in the expenses sheet, it is there. So these are absolutely two separate and independent sheets, although they're grouped under the same document. I have saved both of these in the same document, even though it is like this. But I can create different kind of data in this spreadsheet, or I can create different type of data and different data in this spreadsheet as well. So that was about the overall structure of the spreadsheet software and what spreadsheets are. And now let me just get rid of this spreadsheet first. I can do certain things with these spreadsheets. Like I could delete the sheet, I could insert a new sheet, I could rename the sheet, I could hide the sheet and stuff like that. So right now I'm not interested in working on multiple sheets in the same document. So I'm just going to get rid of all of this, and I'm going to come back to this expenses sheet, let's say, and I'm going to show you the basics of what this software, what we need to know at the very beginning. So the first thing that we need to know is what this box is known. So this box is known as a cell, right? This is a cell, this is a cell, this is a cell. All of these different small rectangular boxes are cells, right? And the second thing, every cell has a name, right? Why do we name the cells, or why do we have to have the name for each cell? The reason will become obvious shortly, but for now I'm telling you that every cell has names. This is why how we have made the software, that we have given name to every single cell. Every single cell in the entire spreadsheet, it can be a huge spreadsheet, like it can have thousands of rows, So this is a row. Now this is another row. This is row number 6. Here you can see the name of the rows. So the name of this row is 10. The name of this row is 12, right? So you can see on the left side, you can see the name of the rows. This is the name of this row, all of this row. So this row has multiple cells. All of these cells, no matter how far in the right side I go, all of this is one row, and this row is called row number 13, right? So similarly, there are columns. So I can say that this is a row 9, right? Similarly, so let me actually highlight all of this. There's a highlight button, so I can do highlight colors. So I'm just highlighting. This is not something that I want you to do, because this is just about the information about the spreadsheet software and how what spreadsheet is, why we use it, stuff like that. So you don't need to do it right now, but I'll be doing stuff that I will tell you to do in there. So okay, so these are columns. This is column A, this is column B. On the tops, you can see the names of the columns. So this is column C. All of the cells in this vertical selected kind of area are all these cells belong to column C, right? So let me, and similarly this is column D, this is column E. So this column D, I can call column D, and all the cells in this column belong to column D, right? So let me change the color of this to, let's suppose, um, so this is column D, this blue thing, and this yellow thing, and let me change the color of the intersecting cell to green, because both the uh, column and row are being intersecting at this point, right? This is the intersecting point, you can say, or the joining point of both of these. So this particular cell belongs to row number 9, but it also belongs to column D, right? I hope everyone has noticed that this cell, this cell that I have selected right now, and selection, a single cell is selected by bold borders if the borders are bold. And another thing, whenever a cell is selected, you can see a tiny square which is used for something that I will be telling shortly, inshallah. So this this tiny black box is shown with every selected cell. If I select this one, the borders are made bold, and there is tiny box on the bottom right corner of this cell, right? So that means that this cell is selected. So right now I have selected this cell. So if I ask you what is the column and row of this cell, you will say that the column of this cell is D and the row of this cell is 9. So this cell belongs to row number 9 and column number D. So what would be the name of this cell? So every cell has a name. So the name of this cell that we have defined is D9, right? So this would be very obvious now why we are calling it D9. D is the column and 9 is the row. So and also you can see the name of every cell whenever you select a cell. Right now this one is selected. Now I'm selecting this. So if you go on the top left side, you can see the name of the cell. The name of the cell is written, also automatically written over here. This is D9. So for example, if I select this cell, what is the name of this cell? A1, right? That if I had to write the name of this cell, what would be the name of this cell? BB263, exactly. So this is the name of this cell. The names of the cells are required to make a reference to that cell. By making a reference is that, for example, I tell you, you come to me and you say, sir, I need to work, I have to do some research on artificial intelligence. I'm looking for a person who is good in artificial intelligence. I tell you, okay, I have a friend in LUMS, and maybe FAST University, and you go to, let's say, LUMS, and you meet Mr. Let's say Mr. ABC or Mr. someone, yeah, right? So you go to that person and you tell him that Mr. Salman from FC College has sent me to you, right? So what are you doing? You are making a reference to me, right? So you have referred, I referred you to that person, but you, when you went to talk to him, you made a reference that I am referred by Mr. Salman, right? So you needed my name to refer to me to, start the conversation. Just like that, whenever we are using the contents of the cell in BB263, any data which is inside this box, I will have to use its name, right? So naming is really important. Understanding the naming concept is really important. So for example, if I had a value written 45 inside C number, inside cell C5, right? I hope everyone can now easily tell and see that the name of this cell is C5, and it is also written over here C5. If I go to C5 and type 45 and press enter, it means that I have written the value 45 inside cell C5. But for example, if I ask you to copy the value of C5 in cell A1, right? What am I asking to you to do? Copy the value of cell C5 into A1 without typing anything, uh, no matter what the value in C5 is. For example, 45, it is, for example, 60, it is 29, whatever the value is. I want you to make such an arrangement to this spreadsheet so that this value automatically appears in this cell, right? That would be called referring to this value slightly later. So I'm typing equal sign and I'm typing C5. Equal sign tells, okay, so now you see that 45, which was in C5, has automatically appeared in A1, right? So if I double click this cell, I do not see 45, I see this thing that I typed earlier, which was equal sign and then C5. Equal sign tells this or any cell that I am not typing in data. And you remember what data is. Data is just numbers. This equal sign and numbers or names or, proper noun kind of things. And the equal sign tells this cell A1 or any cell for that matter that I am not typing the data directly into this cell. I am giving instructions to this cell to fetch or to retrieve data from some other cell, right? This is what equal sign does. So whenever I start typing with an equal sign, it will recognize that I am not typing in data. I will be typing. So for example, if I write C5 over here, what would happen? Nothing. Only C5, whatever I entered, it will be saved in this cell. Nothing happened. Why? Because I did not tell the spreadsheet that I am trying to retrieve the value of cell C5. But if I had typed an equal sign in front of it, it will bring the value, whatever the value in cell C5 was, into the cell A2, because I was typing this equal C5 in A2. Okay. So now I show you a magical thing, which is that, for example, if I go to C5 and I type 23 and press enter, what happened? The values of A1 and A2 immediately changed. Similarly, if I type 1485, I press enter, and this value automatically appeared in both the cells, right? This is what the equal sign does. And the second thing important here is that how did this cell know that I wanted to get the value of exactly C5? I write here C5. If I had written, for example, C4 over here, there is nothing in C4 right now, so it is showing 0 over here. If I type in 20,471 and press enter, this 20,471 immediately appears over here. Similarly, if I type equal to C6 in this cell, there is nothing in C6 right now. But if I type in my name, what happens? My name immediately appears over here. If I type in some other name, that name also appears over here, right? Anything I type will be appeared in cell A3 because I have told cell A3 that I want the value of cell C6 to appear or to be retrieved or fetched into this cell A3. So, okay, so then there is something called the formatting of spreadsheet. Formatting is something which is very similar to the text formatting that we saw in the word processing software, the writer, or the presentation software, Impress. This is the formatting bar where you see all the controls, or you go to the format menu and you see all the controls. So now the format menu has slightly more things. It gives you the option to change the format of your text, the font size, the font style, the various different things that you can do with the fonts. It also gives you spacing between fonts, alignment of your text inside, and then there is something new, number format. I will be explaining this in detail, inshallah. So and then there are other options, and there is another option, the format of rows and columns. This is something slightly new. It was in writer because we added tables there, but we did not look in detail about these properties. We saw merging of cells. We can merge cells, but we will be looking at that in detail over here. And then there is conditional formatting. We will be doing that and stuff like that. So okay, so let's so for example, here you can see a problem with the contents of this cell D9. Name of address is equal to D9. This is a long text and it does not fit into this cell fully. It is uh, kind of like bleeding outside or spilling outside. So I can go to this thing, the name of the row, and I can use in the separating line where 9 and 10 are being separated. I can hover my mouse over this and I see that the cursor is being changed to up down arrows. And if I click this up down arrow and hold the click and drag it down, I can change the height of this row. So I'm going to change the height of this row to roughly less than or maybe more than two lines, roughly more than two heights of previous row size. So I'm going to drop the or I'm going to release the mouse left key now. So you can see that the row height has now changed. Similarly, if I go to the column, and the effect is not obvious right now, but I'm just going to give more space to this text. So if I go to this and I go to the separating line of column D and E, I can see that the whenever I hover over this, the mouse cursor has changed shape to left right arrow. And if I stop at this point and I click and keep holding the left mouse key and I release the left mouse key with any column width that I want. For example, I want 1 inch column width. I can release the mouse at this point. So now the column has more width, uh, and okay, the text looks just like before. So now I need to because I know I can see being we can see with our eyes that this text, if this text was on two lines, it would fit into this box. It's very easy for anyone to see, right? So there is an option in formatting for that. I can go to format, and I can go to the option called, actually let me find the button for that. Okay, so I think this is the button, wrap text. Yes. So here is the button called wrap text. This here you can see that they have tried to show that whenever you have a big line, it can be merged into one line, or it can be separated into two lines. So this arrow is trying to show that. So if we press the wrap text key, you can see that this line is now broken into two lines. So if I press this button again, it will change the two lines into one line again. Okay, two lines, one line, two lines, one line. So I can change as much as I like. Similarly, there is another formatting of the cells which is very important, which is applying borders. You already saw that we can add color to cells. I can apply borders to text. So for example, I wanted to add border to these three cells. I could go to, there is a tiny menu you can see over here. This is called the border box, border button. If I click the border button, I can apply different kinds of borders to this. So if I click all borders, the outside of this selection and the inside divisions of cells are all going to be applied border to. So I'm going to use all borders. So if I unselect this, I can see that all of these cells have now borders across these. And obviously I can change the style of borders by going into format and going into what would you do if you wanted to insert a column on the right hand side of this column, right? So we were working and we were making something, but we remembered something that we forgot to add previously, and now we want to add that into our spreadsheet. For example, in between column C and D. So how do you insert a column? You right click, you select a column. For example, I want to add a column between C and D. I'm going to select column D. I'm going to right click on top of on its name D, and I'm going to use insert column before. Insert columns before. So if I click this button, you can see that there is a new column D inserted on the left hand side of this column, and now this column D has now became column E. So because this is everything that I typed myself, I will have to go change the values myself, because this is just something that I typed using keyboard. This is not something which is automatically appearing. So the name of this cell now has become E9 instead of D9. So similarly, if I were asked to add a row on top of row number 9, what would I do? I will go to the name of row number 9. I will right click this, and I will click insert rows above. So I will now have a new row inserted on top of row number 10. There is this new row, and so now you can see that because I use the keyboard to type in the name of this row, now this row has become 10. So I need to change this if I want to these things to be correct. Similarly, the name of this cell has now changed to E10 because I have manually inserted a new row on top of this cell's row. So now the name of this cell, you can also see from over here, this cell is selected and the name of this cell is now written E10. So the name of this cell is actually E10 now, not E9. So these changes, if you have written something which is of this type, you will have to make changes manually, right? So text alignment, right? So by default, every number is aligned towards the right side, and every written text is aligned towards the left. You can change this. For example, if I want the text to align on the right hand side, I can use this button, align right, just like in other software that we did. And if I want the numbers to align on the left hand side, I can use align left, and it will be done like this, right? So All right, so this is called text alignment, and then there is a vertical text alignment as well. For example, I'm going to show you that this text is right now, where do you see vertically? This is at the bottom side of the cell. What if I wanted to bring it towards the top side of the cell? So I would go to align, and there is, in the format menu line, there is center top of option, right? So all of this text will go towards the top of this cell. So here you can see that this cell has gone towards the top of the cell. Previously it was at the bottom of the cell, now it is on the top of the cell. So in spreadsheet you can align the text vertically or horizontally. Horizontal, it is center, left, right, and vertically it is top, center, or bottom. So both of these options are available to you. Similarly, how do you merge cells? You go to these cells, for example these three cells, and you use this button over here, somewhere over here, merge in center cell. So now this cell has become a one cell, and now you can ask a very valid question, that what would be the name of this cell now, because this cell is based on d4, d5, d6. So it is very easy to see from the left hand side that the name of this cell is the name of the top left cell inside the merged group. So the top left cell in the merged group is D4. So the name of all of this will still be D4, right? You can still make a reference to this, and the reference can be made using D4.